Hello and welcome to another modelling video. This is Alan from the Man at YouTube with another modelling video. Now before I get into anything, I'd like to apologise. The channel has been closed for a week. I was meant to do a question and answer video last week, but I fell seriously sick. I was in bed for a few days in a row, and afterwards, at the due date, was not able to talk fluently, let alone for a video that normally goes for the 20-30 minute range. It's taken me the week to recover. I'm 90% there, and I'm definitely confident enough to talk for a period of time. This one's going to be a bit shorter. I'm not going to add extra fillers, but I'll at least answer the absolute core questions. So the people who ask their questions, thank you very much for being patient with me. And more or less, we'll get straight into this. 1 week overdue. Andrew asks, hello, I'm trying to candy coat my high grade Shinanju, and I was easily able to find a chrome spray can at my local Walmart, but no clear red. Where could I find a clear red spray paint? Thank you. I'm not too familiar with spray cans, unusual colours and whatnot in the States range. I know Tamiya does and Mr. Hobby does a clear red, and you can order that via eBay through Hong Kong. So the shipping is going to be very slow, but you can at least get that in your country over a very long period of time. If that fails, and you don't have any local hobby shops, ask around some art supply shops. You don't know what they could come across in the way of can to clear goods. I know motorcycle and automotive car paint shops sell clear red in the tin for airbrushing, but if you want it in the spray can, I suppose Mr. Hobby or Tamiya might be your only choice. And if you search up spray cans on eBay, you'll find it very easily, and look for international post, and normally when you look for the cheapest option, the hobby stores from Hong Kong will appear first, but if it's origins of Hong Kong, they'll do a very slow ship and you'll get it between 2-3 weeks. TK Productions ask, how do you strip off paint from a painted kit? Now, there's a few different techniques involved. Some people use solvents and thinners, which can damage polycaps or the plastic, make the remnant of the paint a bit sticky, a bit bumpy. There's a few people out there, and I've been meaning to experiment as soon as I can, putting your plastic in bleach, which bleach is quite a hazardous material, but it doesn't do much damage to the plastic itself. Just lifts the paint perfectly, and you're able to rinse and paint again. Personally, the past few kits I've had to strip, I just wet sanded it. It normally lifts 90% of the paint off very quickly. I don't mind if it marbles a bit, and then scribe out the panels with a panel line scribe tool just to get the gunk out, not properly scribing. For something like a high grade, it takes about a couple of hours, but I haven't really had the chance to play with bleach yet. I've got a kit that I do need to strip one day, and I'll have a play with that and experiment and do a tutorial. So if you're going to experiment, paint a bit of runner and dip that in bleach, see what happens to the plastic. Maybe a scrap piece of polycap, do the same thing, chuck it in there, leave it there for about 5-10 minutes, see if it gets brittle or anything. And if you're happy with the results, then it's safe to put the whole kit in. Next question, J. Brett. Hey there, Alan. This is more about something you posted on GAF, Gundam Australia Forum, 2 years ago. Oh god. Any luck finding a resin kit of the Bergetto? It's definitely my top 5 MS designs, but Tatsu seems to have cancelled any attempts on it. Now, a few years ago, I think I was talking to Ed from Gundam 00 Reviews. He was at the time sponsored by Tatsu Hobby, so I had a look at their resin range, and they had a very, very rare kit that was a special run of a special Bandai event, and they recasted it. This is the Cubele-like funnel MS from Gundam X. It is a very, very cool design. But after making contact with the owner, he made it very clear that he will not do a run until there's 10 orders. So I tried to rally a few people among some forums and whatnot to get interest. And I found probably about 5, 6 people. And we went quiet for a little while because it's just too hard finding people who want to buy a $100 resin kit. And since you asked this about a week ago, I had a look on the Tatsu Hobby website. I had the original link, which was dead, and the website itself lost a lot of its resin stuff, and it was nowhere to find. I don't know if this is a copyright issue or what, but this is a big disappointment. I would have loved to get my hands on the kit, and if we were to do a second call out, we probably would have found the last 4 people or whatever, but by the sounds of it, it's long gone. I'm disappointed as well, but that's unfortunately the nature of short-run, short-lived resin kits. My friend, if you do find another place that picks it up, let me know, and I'll do the same in return. Weasley X Series. How do you sand your Gundam? When I sand, I find that I'm scratching my Gundam, and do I need to wash all the parts in soap before building? Alright, 2 questions there, but that's easy. With sanding, I normally, with let's say a nub mark, when I remove it and there's a slight lump, I'll use 400 grit wet and dry first, and then wet later. It does scratch the plastic ever so slightly. The wet normally buffs it up again, and with a microfilling primer, there is no evidence that I've ever sanded that part before. With larger seam lines, larger problems, flash marks, I would hit it with a sanding stick. I've just got a normal 200 and 400 grit nail file, and that will scratch the plastic ever so slightly. It's definitely noticeable, but once buffing it with the sandpaper and then the wet sandpaper, that normally does the exact same thing, and once I hit it with the primer, there's no evidence of sanding whatsoever. So the trick is, when you're using something of a high grit, don't take off too much material, just do the very minimum you need to do. You'll leave some scratch marks, and just keep using finer stuff until you're around 400, 600 grit wet, and that will buff anything perfectly fine. If you're doing some really fine metallic painting work that's going to show any imperfection, then you're going to want to probably buff it with a higher grit count, prime it, and probably buff it a second time and prime it again, and that will generally show no scratches from your sanding whatsoever. But try never to sand with anything harsher than 20 grit, because even 40 and 60 grit is really harsh stuff, and then once you start getting to the 100, it works out quite nicely. How do you... and his second half, about washing parts on the runners. It's a practice by some modelers, depending on where you get your model kits. There might be a film or a release agent on the plastic. When you're building, that doesn't matter. Glues, handling with your hands, it's not going to impact the build whatsoever. It's more important with painting. Now, what I normally do, sometimes when I do a lot of work and there's dust all over the work and oils from my finger and other crap, I might be eating something while handling it, I would just quickly rinse it under the tap and sponge it down On the rare occasion I'll use soap if it's something I've been working on for months, and I might have used my own release agent for putty work. But that's more so for a painting thing. And if you wash it then start building, you're putting your own oils from your fingers on the kit, and other influences are touching your model that might also ruining it for the painting stage. So if you are into washing your kits, the best time to do it is just before you start painting, unless it's resin, because you just want to get that shit off as soon as you can, because you don't want to leave release agent all over your hands and desk and stuff. So wash your styrene just before painting, wash your resin just before building. So they're the two big differences. We've got Cam. Hey Alan, what top coat do you use? Recommend? I currently use acrylic top coat from Vallejo and looking for a change. They are very easily scratched and not the easiest to use. Thanks mate. In my current opinion, Vallejo is very colourful, the pigments are lovely, the range of colours are very nice, but I'm not a big Vallejo fan. I dislike their etching to the plastic or primed surfaces. Their primer's not too bad, but their paints are just very weak and they don't stand up against masking and scratch resistance or whatnot. I'd imagine their top coat would be the same thing, but if you put a strong top coat over Vallejo, you can protect it to a certain extent. The two models I painted, I put an enamel top coat on, and they still stand today without me touching it. Though, as a general top coat, I use either matte clear by Tamiya or Pledge Future Floor acrylic, the famous floor acrylic from America, which I managed to get my hands on. It's pretty much just like your Tamiya clear gloss, but already pre-thinned. Being a gentleman from the UK, I don't know if you can get your hands on such a product, but in the past I've been very happy using the Tamiya acrylics. They are just very versatile, and Tamiya is known for how well they etch onto surfaces, their scratch resistancy, and the fact that you can apply stronger solvents on top. If you want something stronger for articulation and whatnot, the enamels from Tamiya will do the trick, but I bought a big bottle of enamel clear from an art shop. It's about that big for $20. It's very thick. I thin it down, I airbrush it on, and that normally holds up very well for scratch resistancy if I'm doing a very delicate paint job with lacquers, or if I'm doing salt weathering or something like that. So my first preference is either Tamiya acrylics or Pledge Future Floor for stronger top coat applications, enamels. And the reason why I like using these two as well when you're going over metallics, and a lot of people don't think about this when they're choosing their acrylics, is drying time. And if your top coats dry too quickly, it's going to frost up your metallic. So how I fix that with the Tamiya stuff is I just use lots and lots of thinner, and that takes ages to dry, and I use a few coats. Pledge Future Floor has like an inbuilt retardant or something. That's not the fastest drying of paints, which makes it really great. It doesn't frost itself up. It just leaves a beautifully clear finish. And with the enamels that I occasionally use, just the generic artist bottle of clear enamel, it comes in like a slight straw colour, but it promises to clear dry, and it has done so. That takes like 6-7 hours to stop being wet, and a couple of days to harden. So that normally produces quite a beautiful finish, and when I want a really high gloss showroom car finish, I use multiple coats of that as well. So those are my preferences, but generally I stick away from Vallejo because that has given me all sorts of problems in the past, even though it hand paints beautifully and even though it looks beautiful. I've got only one private message anonymous question. I think I do. Hello. I know metallic paints will look better when airbrushed on black paint. Does this method apply with spray cans? Like if I spray painted black primer then spray painted a metallic colour? Or is it unnecessary? This individual's just a tad confused about the process of priming undercoat then paint. He probably saw a video where I used the Outclad primer and undercoat in one. But generally for the very best, and this is just conventional modelling, for the very best effect for your metallic paint, spray can or airbrushing, a primer first to make sure your undercoat colours, because your Gundam colours are multicoloured, is all a neutral grey colour. Then so your paints can etch and adhere to the surface as well as humanly possible. Gloss black. Metallic is a fairly translucent colour and it'll display what its background is. Some colours it will just shrivel up and be very matty, and some undercolours it will be lustful and bright and quite shiny. For some reason when metallic paints sit on a shiny black surface, it can reflect a lot of light off its surface and it looks its absolute shiniest. So application of a high gloss black, and normally because your metallics that you're spraying is lacquer, you want either a lacquer gloss black or a Tamiya enamel gloss black as your second coat. And then your third coat, your light coat of your metallic out of the can or airbrush, and finish it off with a slow drying top coat to contain the shine, make it shinier. So that would be the process for applying metallic paint. Tad of a warning, be careful with your surface preparation, as when you apply metallics, particular premium metallic paint, their pigments are very fine and they have a tendency of showing flaws like scratches in the plastic, dust, leftover putties, splitting seams, gouges from your knife cutting off nub marks. So when you're working on a kit that you're planning on doing a high gloss, you just want to spend that little extra time not making any mistakes on the kit that you think you might be able to hide if you're doing a weathered camouflage look. So do your absolute best to cut the nubs off and sand down to a flat surface. Fill your seam lines 2-3 times, take a little care, and you'll be rewarded with an absolute wonderful finish that other assholes won't be able to pick apart and say, oh shit, I see a mistake. And you'll appreciate it more yourself. It's definitely a labour of love. But yeah, that's your general process for applying metallic paints. This is Alan, the Meconoman. Thank you very much for watching, and as always, until next time, I would like to talk just for the next couple of minutes, a little observation that I've seen. Forums are not as active. A lot of the Gunpla community is jumping on large groups on Facebook, anywhere between several hundred to a few thousand in strength from group to group. This has forced a lot of modelers to congregate and mix snappers and painters, competition modelers and casuals, which is absolutely great. It's good that we should go out and meet more people at the international level and just get out of our forums and see everyone as a large whole. I have unfortunately noticed some groups that are founded by lone individuals, so there's no accountability if the individual doesn't have a reputation or from somewhere like a forum, because a lot of forums and large named individuals are creating communities around themselves, but also there's other ones that are founded by no-name people, and they're the ones to be a tad careful of, because I've seen some bad behaviour around some competitions, events, backstabbings and whatnot from certain parts of the Facebook community. So be a tad careful on those communities. There is going to be some bad behaviour, people rubbishing other individuals and models, and please don't contribute or be involved in such bad behaviour. reputations can come and bite you in the ass later, and realistically we're all here to help each other out and be supportive of each other. So if you notice you don't like the commenting or something that's happening, speak up about it or move on. Just a tad of a thing that has been noticed, and I haven't been too happy about, but I'm just a little guy, nothing I can do about it. I can just encourage the very few that follow me to, you know, keep an eye out for that stuff, and your colleagues, your friends, if they're having a hard trouble or whatever, give them a helping hand. Thank you very much, and I'll catch you guys next time. We're going back to our usual upload schedule of content. Catch you guys later.